Time now for the morning rush. We start with Kristen Curry.
Good morning. Looking at a mostly sunny sky through the day today. You won't see it on this map, but we are going to be looking at breezy to windy conditions over east central New Mexico. That has sparked some fire concerns. Their red flag warning kicks in later this morning. Another day of sunshine tomorrow, but more wind, especially over central and eastern areas with warmer temperatures statewide. Crystal?
Morning, deputies are looking for family or friends of a woman who was found dead and badly burned near Rio Rancho. Deputies released the new details recently. Detectives say ATV riders found the charred body just south of northern and Encino in Sandoval County. Officials are hoping someone will come forward with details so they can identify her. Also new this morning, police are releasing the name of the woman who was shot near Presbyterian Hospital and later died in hopes of sparking some leads. Police say that woman was 30-year-old Crystal Aragon. They say she was shot and rushed to the ER, leading to a lockdown of the hospital. The shooter has not been found. Surveillance video did capture a white Cadillac at a nearby gas station that police want to know more about. On to new news this morning. Mayor Tim Keller and former city council candidate Javier Benavides are in the clear after the Albuquerque Board of Ethics has voted to drop complaints against the two men. The complaint says they failed to report attorney fees on their campaign finance reports. Both ran publicly financed campaigns. The Journal reports the board unanimously rejected to hear arguments and is set to issue a written decision explaining why. On to developing news now. A classified memo critical of the FBI is set to be released later on this week. The 4-page GOP memo drafted by Republican Committee Chair Devin Nunes claims to detail potential surveillance abuses within the Justice Department during the investigation into Russian election meddling. The Intelligence Committee voted for the info to go public on the very same day the agency's number 2 man, Andrew McCabe, stepped down weeks before he was set to retire. Tonight, the APD officer who adopted a drug-addicted newborn will be a special guest at the President's State of the Union address. The story of Officer Ryan Holitz caught national attention after he met a pregnant woman addicted to heroin and agreed to adopt her baby. They named the baby Hope. Officer Holitz will be seated with First Lady Melania Trump during that speech. On to some breaking overnight news for you right now. North Korea is pulling out of a portion of the Winter Olympics with South Korea. The North reportedly will not attend a cultural event at the North's Diamond Mountain to mark the start of the Olympics. North says it has problems with South Korean news reports. It would not say specifically which ones. They're still expected to send athletes to the games, though. Also this morning, the White House is refusing to impose new Russia-related sanctions. The president instead put out a list of Russian business and political figures that they're keeping an eye on. Yesterday was a deadline for Trump to impose restrictions against them as punishment for Russia's interference in the 2016 presidential election. The sanctions were mandated last year by Congress. On to new news this morning. The Libertarian Party officially qualifies as a major political party in New Mexico for the first time. According to the New Mexican, to qualify, Libertarians had to win more than 5% of the vote in a race for president or governor. Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson won about 9% of the vote in 2016 presidential race. The party also has to get more than 1/3 of the state to switch parties, something the Secretary of State's office says has happened. On to new news this morning. Facebook is announcing it will begin pushing local news stories into your news feed. The change applies only to the U.S., at least for now. The social network has faced scrutiny for its influence on the world by what people see online. It's also still dealing with the fallout of its role in the 2016 U.S. election when Russian agents allegedly misused Facebook. On to new news this morning. A bill making changes to the state's lottery scholarship is onto its second committee. The bill would offer different amounts of tuition depending on which school the student attended. Students at research institutions like UNM would get $1,400 a semester, while students at comprehensive schools like Eastern would get $950 a semester. Senator Bill Soules is sponsoring the bill and says it will help families know what amount they'll be getting. Kristen.
Today's Metro Threat Index just set a 1. We've got some chilly temperatures out there now in the 20s this afternoon. Light winds, more sunshine, and high temperatures in the low 60s across the valley. Sarah?
While many are still hoping for more snow, a group of unlikely people are out getting the trails ready for cross-country skiers. To get the trails ready, the New Mexico Cross Country Ski Club works with Friends of the Sandia Mountains, another local nonprofit who works with the U.S. Forest Service to preserve the trails. The average age of the group is 50. with some of their oldest members being 80 years old. The club has grown tremendously with its highest number of volunteers to date. For more information on the club and sign-up information, log into KRQE.com. Crystal?
All right, breaking news at 6. Amazon is announcing it's teaming up with JP Chase and Berkshire Hathaway to create a healthcare company. The independent healthcare company will serve their employees in the U.S. They're calling the company a, quote, free from profit-making incentive and constraints. We're told they will focus on technology to provide simplified, high-quality healthcare at a reasonable cost. On to other news this morning. According to new research at 6, interrupted sleep may be an early sign of Alzheimer's. People suffering from the disease often have trouble sleeping through the night. Researchers at Washington University in St. Louis say this kind of body clock disruption can start years or even decades before a person's memory is impaired. Kristen.
Time now for a check on your Tuesday morning commute. Nothing major out there this morning. Both interstates seem to be moving well. Surface streets, no problems being reported. Of course, I'll keep eyes on the roads for you. Let you know if anything pops up.
Are you looking for some fun soon? A new adventure park is coming to Albuquerque. You can already buy coupons online. Urban Air Adventure Park announced it will fill one of Pan American's vacant lots this year. The park will feature climbing walls, a zip line, indoor skydiving, even giant trampolines. We did post a link for you for more information. Go to our website, KRQE.com.
That looks like fun.
Like a lot of fun, doesn't it?
Very cool.
Oh, yeah. All right, time for the 5 facts.
We start with number 5. Looking ahead, the city's newest Sprouts location will help curb hunger in New Mexico as part of the national chain's commitment to zero waste. The Coors and Montana location of Sprouts will donate unsold but still edible food to Roadrunner Food Bank. Donations will begin after the store opens tomorrow. Officials say groceries deemed unfit for donation will be given to local cattle farms and composting facilities.
Sounds like a good idea. Number 4 now, New Mexico lawmaker wants to make sure people getting government assistance aren't using their money to buy junk food. Republican Senator Cliff Pirtle is proposing that benefits only be used on healthier food like that you see on the WIC program. This means SNAP users would not be able to buy regular pasta, sugary cereals, sodas, chips, or sweets. Those against it do not believe the state should get involved in people's eating habits.
At number 3, temperatures warmer across the board today. Albuquerque in the low 60s. Breezy to windy conditions out east will fuel fire concerns today and tomorrow. Most of us peak with those temperatures tomorrow afternoon, slightly cooler Thursday, Friday.
Number 2, tonight President Donald Trump is set to give his first State of the Union address. Sources say the speech will stress bipartisanship. An Albuquerque police officer will be in attendance, sitting by First Lady Melania Trump. Ryan Holitz, the APD officer who adopted the baby of the drug-addicted woman who he came across while he was on patrol, caught national attention. He'll now be the president's special guest. Number 1, talk about a heartbreaking story for you. The DA says he plans to release more information today about the mysterious death of a teen boy who had been missing for months. Detectives say they learned of 13-year-old Jeremiah Valencia's death after his mother, Tracy Pena, told another jail inmate about it last week. Pena says the boy died in November. She blames her abusive boyfriend, Thomas Ferguson, who she says buried the boy along a state highway. Deputies say Ferguson's 19-year-old son later admitted he saw his dad hit the boy and then drag him to the back of the house. That son, along with Pena and Ferguson, they're all facing charges of child abuse resulting in death. If you want to see more on this story, go to our website. That's KRQE.com. We'll continue following it throughout the day.